Welcome back to Start Here, the very special mini-series within SugarMamma's Fireplay, where I proudly answer your real-life questions with practical, empowering steps to help you get started on your financial well-being journey. Today's question comes from a listener called Diana, who wrote to me and said, "Hey, Canna, even though I'm late to the party, I am ready to take my finances seriously. However, before I begin, I know you talk about getting rid of debt before investing. Well, this is my issue. Don't judge me, but I have $28,000 worth of credit card debt, but just on one card. How can I pay this off as quickly as possible so that I can start building my share portfolio? I have tried so many times, but I always find myself back in debt again. I need help to change as well as to get started." Okay, first of all, Diana, no judgment here. I am actually really excited for you. The fact that you've written to me and means to me, this is a sign that you are well and truly ready to make a difference. And once you're ready, everything else becomes possible. It is never too late to take control of your finances. So, all right, let's break this down together right now for this episode. All right, okay, let's break this down into steps to make it really easy to apply and get started. So step number 1 is to acknowledge the power of this moment. This is really special. You are standing, Diana, at a turning point. For years you have been wrestling with this debt, this credit card debt, but today is different because you're motivated to get rid of it this time for good. Hold on to that energy, harness it, because the momentum is your greatest ally, and it is only going to make it easier and better from here. Momentum. And whilst this debt at times can feel like a really dark, toxic cloud, it definitely doesn't define you. What defines you is this decision you've made to change things for the better and the actions you're taking right now, breaking the cycle and creating a much stronger financial future for yourself. And once you move through this debt, I personally guarantee your confidence and clarity is going to be unshakable. You won't even recognize yourself. So take a moment to feel excited about this decision that you've made for yourself. All right, step 2. Let's talk about why it is so important to pay toxic debt off first. All right, before we even talk about investing, we need to deal with what I call toxic debt. Credit card debt sits at the top of this list. Why? Because it charges these punishing interest rates, sometimes between 18 up to 22%. And unlike a home loan, it is not actually helping you build wealth, or it allows you to acquire an asset that grows in value. We use credit cards to buy stuff most of all. This high interest rate eats into your cash flow, and it can even affect your ability to borrow in the future. So here's some sobering maths for you, and it will help put this into perspective as well. If you had $28,000 invested, earning 7% per annum, you might be making around $2,000 a year. But if you're paying, say, 20% in interest on that same $28,000, it is actually costing you $5,000 a year. Now, that is why my rule is very simple. Eliminate that toxic debt before you start investing. Otherwise, you're trying to fill a bucket with a giant hole in the bottom. It doesn't make sense financially, and it is not efficient. So, step number 3, and that is to build an emergency buffer. Look, as much as I want to recommend that you throw every single spare dollar at your credit card debt, I'm actually going to recommend that you keep a small emergency buffer at all times. Why? And it's really hard for me to say this, but without having some emergency money, the moment, a car breaks down or you get an unexpected bill or a medical expense, things that just happen in life, the dishwasher breaks or a fridge needs to be upgraded, you'll end up reaching out for the credit card again. And this is exactly why the cycle continues and we are back in debt again. It's exhausting. So if you can even just have, say, $2,000 in a separate savings account, online, so it's earning some interest, it's going to give you a little bit of breathing room. And once that is in place, you can obviously then go for it and attack that credit card with every bit of power and intensity that is within you. Step number 4, and that is, let's go and break those old habits and break them for good. You have shared something really powerful in your message to me. You said, I always find myself back in debt again. Now, that shows that this isn't just about numbers or about like a once off, bit of bad luck that happened and got you into the debt. It says there's something going on with your habit system and money. Once the card is paid off, can I recommend that you consider taking a really long break away from having a credit card, or perhaps not having a credit card at all? If a credit card is a trigger for you, why are you keeping it? Why are you making life so much harder for yourself with this dangerous temptation surrounding you? And exactly the same goes for buy now, pay later. These products can be great for some when they're used in the right way. But at the same time, these products can also keep us trapped in spending money that we can't truly afford. Switching to cash, or even just using your debit card only, it forces you to slow down. It forces you to stop and question everything before you go and spend. And it also forces you to save up for something that you really want before you go and buy it. And when we do that, I find that we tend to appreciate what we've actually gone and bought so much more. We have that feeling of control and discipline, which is true financial freedom. Freedom isn't about having a credit card limit, it's about not needing to have a credit card. Well, that's what I think personally. Step number 5, and that is to build a budget that works for you. Now, this is where the practical side comes in and the structure. A budget isn't about punishment. It's about clarity, it's about protection, and it's about having financially respectful boundaries in your life. Start with the essentials: housing, bills, transport, groceries. Then look at your lifestyle expenses, the things that you do truly value, that give you balance and joy and love. And then I want you to cut out whatever you think is wasteful or doesn't really bring you joy anymore. Every dollar that you can find from doing your budget, you can then redirect to your credit card debt or building up that emergency money. And that means you are $1 closer to having that breakthrough and having that financial freedom. Now, the secret to sticking to a budget, it's tracking. Checking in twice a week. I run a budget and cash flow academy, and it's available to absolutely everyone. And in that course, I recommend that you check your budget twice a week. And I personally do this every Sunday, during the weekend, and every Friday in the morning or in the afternoon. That way, I am tracking any particular blowouts or where we've maybe fallen off the bandwagon and sticking to our budget. And the faster I can see, those errors, those leaks, those overspending habits, the quicker I can fix them and the easier they are to fix them. I can get our budget back on track. This is the number one secret to sticking to your budget. So can I recommend you go and do a budget, even go and enroll in my course? I can give you a one-on-one session as part of the course, and I can show you how to stick to it. It is something liberating, it's empowering, it's a little bit sexy when you stick to your budget. And then you do spend, you just don't feel guilty about spending. And seeing your bank account go all the way through pay cycle without running short is so refreshingly pleasurable. All right, step 6. Once you've done your budget, I want you to automate and accelerate. We can turn your budget now into an action plan. Once you've got your emergency money sorted and you've automated repayments so that the money can flow to your credit card debt the moment you get paid or the day after payday, so that that money is out of your account before you can spend it. So say you've found an extra, say, $400 per month from doing your budget and cutting back on some expenses. Make sure you redirect those savings, plus anything else that you can afford on top of that, into automatic repayments towards that debt. This is really easy to do. You set it up in your internet banking. You don't even need to call anyone, and you select the frequency and the amount. And you can even select the date. Okay, so you can set it to be on the 1st of every month or the 15th of every month, weekly, fortnightly. I think even some do it daily. And I cannot stress this enough. Try and set this up so that the money comes out of your account the day you get paid or the day after you get paid. So there, it's gone. It's taken away. By doing this, having those automatic repayment plans in place, you can actually start to then build mini goals with actual dates around this debt. For example, you can set some dates to have that $28,000 worth of credit card debt reduced to, say, $20,000 by this particular date. You can see the maths involved. You can say, well, if I stick to this of $500 per month towards this debt, I'll have this much only left at this date. You can actually track it and actually see and track where you should be up to, and then obviously check your progress and compare as to where you think you should be and where you actually are. This is really important, and those detailed deadlines are what help keep you accountable and motivated. So here's an example. If your credit card charges, say, 20% per annum, and you are paying $700 per month, it's actually going to take you just over 5 years to pay that off with that crazy interest. If you can increase your automatic repayment plan to, say, $1,000 per month, that then drops from 5 years to just over 3 years. If you can push yourself even further, which I highly recommend if you can, then push it to, say, $1,500 per month, you'll be debt-free in just under 2 years. So mark those dates in your calendar and start counting down. Do the maximum you can afford. And remember, automatic repayments are great, but also ad hoc repayments are also your secret weapon here. Tax refunds, bonuses, side hustle, selling things that you don't use or want anymore, any extra bonus money you might even win, throw it towards this debt immediately. Every extra payment brings your freedom date that you've got in your diary closer. Get excited. Keep a running spreadsheet or even like a note in your phone or a journal even, so that you can see your progress every time you make an ad hoc repayment or you have an automatic repayment plan that comes out. You need to see that your hard work is paying off, your debt is coming down in the right direction. Even if you jump on Canva and create a little pie chart or a line chart, put it on the fridge, put it on your phone as a screensaver, your desktop, on your bedside table. This is going to fuel your motivation to finally pay off that $28,000 worth of credit card debt for good and not repeated. All right, step number 7. And this is to learn whilst you pay it down. Just because you're not investing yet, and I'm so excited that you're ready to do this, but it doesn't mean that you can't prepare to start investing. Whilst you're on this debt-free journey, use this time wisely. Use this time to learn. Use this time to learn about ETFs, listed investment companies, the importance of diversification and how to actually set this up. Go and do a risk profile. Open up an online share trading account. Write down some really detailed financial goals, like my goal is to build a $200,000 portfolio by 2028, or my goal is to build $1,000 worth of passive income by the 15th of September 2027, or build a passive income stream of $10,000 a year by the 10th of December 2028. Write down some really exciting goals. Put them in your journal, put them in your bed next to your bedside table, or where you clean your teeth every day so you can get excited. Also, educate yourself. Read books, listen to podcasts like this one, and how do they afford that? Immerse yourself in the different investing philosophies. That way, the moment you are debt-free, you're going to be ready to go. You can hit the ground running with no hesitation and absolutely no wasted time whatsoever. In fact, you can even make up for lost time now. And then step number 8, find support in community. One of the most underestimated tools is community. Social media often gets a really bad reputation for encouraging us to spend and seeing other people's wardrobes and hauls and gadgets and gizmos and holidays and restaurants and wining and dining. But there's also a growing debt-free community, a FIRE community, and it's all online and it does exactly the opposite. These people share their struggles, their setbacks, and their wins. They cheer each other on. They post about their repayment milestones. They keep it really real and they're really honest about the challenges. They're really vulnerable. It's incredibly inclusive, it's really supportive, and it's motivating. I'm a huge fan of these groups. I'll link them, some of the ones I follow in the podcast notes for you. So if you can surround yourself with these people and their energy, whether it's online or even in real life, you will find accountability and encouragement within you, growing, thriving, which makes your debt-free journey so much easier and more enjoyable. And you're going to realize you're not alone. None of us are alone. And now, step number 9. Don't forget about the big picture. Okay, whilst you're paying off your debt, you can also check in on 2 big essentials, financial essentials in your life. Number 1, your super. Make sure that your superannuation is invested appropriately, for your goals and of course for your age. Also make sure that you have personal insurance in place. You protect your income stream, making sure that any, medical setback doesn't erode your progress or your journey or your adventure. It isn't just about getting debt-free and being debt-free. It's about building long-term financial foundations that will work for you, keep you safe, keep you secure, keep you independent. And from that foundation, that sturdy, strong foundation that's built with brilliant brains and decisions, you can build an incredible financial powerhouse for yourself. So, Diana, $28,000, it may feel like a mountain right now, but every mountain is climbed one step at a time, looking up, looking forward. Your plan from listening to this episode is clear. You know exactly what to do. Number 1, you build a buffer, that emergency money, a couple of $1,000s at least. You start breaking the cycle of credit card debts. You stop using a credit card. You cut it up. You put it in the freezer in a block of ice. You cancel it when you can. You don't use any buy now, pay later. You stop all access. You do a budget and you learn to stick to it because you're tracking your transactions against that budget twice a week. You are automating your repayments. You are making ad hoc repayments. You are setting clear goals, short-term goals, medium-term goals, long-term goals. Any bit of money that comes your way, you're putting towards being and bringing debt-free life sooner. And you are connecting. You are smothering yourself, if you like, in the debt-free community for encouragement, for inspiration, for motivation. And you're using this time to learn and to grow so that you are ready to invest the moment you are debt-free. And once you're on the other side, you've seen the light, you've pushed through and you've come out the other side and you realize how different you are and how much you've learned, how much you've grown, how much more aware you are, how much more respect you have for yourself. Not only are you going to be debt-free, you're going to have so much more resilience, wisdom, and confidence that you will never go back to those old, toxic, self-destructive, credit card using habits. Trust me on this. It's the gestation process. You just have to do the work right now and get started today. All right, Diana, thank you for sharing this question. Thank you for allowing me to be part of this journey with you. And for everyone else, if this episode resonated with you or you know someone who needs to hear this advice, please make sure you go and send them this episode, or even better, you share this episode on your socials. I would greatly appreciate it. And in the meantime, if you would like me to answer any of your questions, your money questions that is, on a future episode of Start Here, make sure you send me a DM on Instagram at SugarMamma TV or at Canna Campbell Official. I'll even go and link my email address in the podcast notes, along with those debt-free and Fire community accounts. All right, everyone, enjoy your weekend, and thank you so much for Diana for sending through your question. This is Start Here on Sugar Mama's Fireplay, and we'll connect again on Monday morning, 5 a.m. Ciao for now.